Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Swing Shift Trades. My name's Matt. I've been trading for about 4.5 years, coming from a background of very little knowledge up to being a profitable trader. This channel is really aimed at beginners and those people who want to reduce that time frame so that you've got a shot of being a profitable trader as soon as possible. So this video could be interesting. So really, a lot of my other videos have touched on how to pick stocks, but about the strategy, how to transfer stocks over to your watch list, and those functional aspects that are so important to us. But this video's a bit different. Today, I'm going to ask the question, why is it so hard to become a profitable trader? And more than that, what can we do to turn that around and give us the best shot of being a profitable trader? So this is what I found over 4.5 years along that journey, and what a journey that's been. So just a bit of background first. I think my story probably mirrors many experienced traders in that when you first begin, you don't really know what you're doing. So you've got all these indicators, people are telling you to use this indicator and that indicator, and before you know it, you're using about 10 different indicators for a setup. You've probably got 4 or 5 screens going on, and you think you're doing great. And then what happens over time is you don't make money, and then you start losing money, and that can be pretty discouraging. But what happens for those who stick it is that they tend to become reductionist. You start relying less on indicators, you just might use 1 or 2, and then after spending hundreds and thousands of hours on the charts, you start to get a feel for the market, and that's when you've got a shot. So this channel's all about compressing that time frame so that you've got a shot of being a competent trader as soon as possible. So I think we'll break this down into 2 parts. In the first part, we'll look at why is it so hard to be profitable, and then secondly, we'll end on a high and we'll try and turn that around, and then we'll go through some fundamental aspects that will speed your journey up and give you that shot at profitability. So I think the first aspect of why it's hard to become profitable is that the bar is set low to access the markets. So I'm a swing trader, so I trade over longer time frames, and I trade the American stocks and shares market from the UK. I'm based in the UK. The point being, for most people, it's very easy to set up a trading account, and before you know it, you can be trading the stock market. But here's the thing, if you have no strategy, no knowledge, or have not spent any time reading the charts, you will fail. The odds are stacked against you. So the first reason why people fail is that the bar's set too low. Accessibility is too easy, and the stats, I keep saying it, are grim. 90% of traders will lose money over time, depending on the metric that you look at. So the first thing we can say there is never trade with money you can't afford to lose, and then secondly, don't even think about trading until you've got a feel for the markets, you've developed your strategy, and you've spent some time using a paper money account. I've gone through that in one of my previous videos. I think the second reason why people are not profitable is that you've got to practice. I've lost count of the times where someone has said to me, as a friend, for example, oh, can you teach me to trade? And I must admit, when I get asked that question, my eyes rolls very slightly, because any experienced trader knows what's involved. And that second thing that's really involved is practice. It takes hundreds, and I would say thousands of hours of you being on charting software like this, getting used to the candlesticks, used to watching the markets, so that you start to get a feel. So what many people do is that they will trade too early with real money, and that also, I'm afraid, is guaranteed to make you lose money. So don't trade until you've practiced. So again, I've done another video on this, I think, about expectations, so that might be worth having a look at. But please don't trade, definitely with real money, unless you've practiced. I think the third reason that a lot of people fail is strategy hopping. So this usually happens when you think you're just getting a feel for looking at the charts, and then you might start to develop your strategy and you think, great, I think I've nailed this. I've got some indicators, I've got my charts up, yeah, this feels good. And then you'll start taking trades and you might get lucky at the beginning or you might lose. But what happens over time is you might go on a losing streak, for example, and then you think, I think I can tweak my strategy. But then before you know it, you're adding this, you're taking something away, and you've never really perfected that core strategy that you're on without you really giving it time to absorb what works and what doesn't. So strategy hopping is really common at the beginning, and if you do it too often, then pretty much you're guaranteed to lose money as well. So moving on to the next one, there is one really obvious reason why making a profit is hard. You're in competition with others. So the market is competitive and not everyone can win, of course. There's got to be some losers and winners. Now, as a retail trader, I often hear that we're in competition with hedge funds and, those with taking millions of trades. And in some sense we are, because there's the global wider market, but on a head-to-head, day-to-day basis, most retail traders are not in direct competition with these guys, and that's because we're pretty small, and the advantages we've got is because we trade on a smaller scale. We've got flexibility. We might not have to have approval, and we're more flexible and we're quicker. So what I mean quicker is that we can make decisions more quickly. Obviously we can't compete directly with these big hedge funds because they can make their trades in milliseconds. They've got all the resources they ever want, all the analytical tools at their disposal. So it's very hard for us to compete head to head, but we don't. So there are some advantages for us. So that isn't overly negative. But overall, in the wider market, yes, we are competing against others. So we can't all be winners. So we've got to really hone our skills to have a chance at being successful at this game. So there are a whole number of other things that we could really add to that list and go on forever. But I've just mentioned some of the key ones there that I think are important from my own experience. But there is one reason that's so difficult, that's a standout in my opinion, why it's so difficult to be a profitable trader. And that is being human. You're probably thinking, what does he mean by that? Humans are really weird creatures. We're weird in several ways, and all of those ways, when it comes to trading, probably count against us. So one of the things about being human is we tend to categorize. So what I mean by that is we like to see patterns, we like to put things in particular groups. And what that means when you're looking at a chart is that you tend to see patterns and themes that aren't really there. It's our brain fills in the gaps. How many times have you been looking at a chart and thinking, oh, that's a good pattern. I think I know what's going to happen next. That's going to swing upwards. And then you might look at that same chart the next day and think, what was I thinking there? That wasn't what I saw yesterday. So we tend to be emotional. We're not really consistent in what we see. So that can count against us. Definitely at the beginning when you haven't got that experience of looking at the charts. So I'm a swing trader, so I look at these smooth oscillations and try and jump in at the right time. But if you haven't got that experience at the beginning of looking at those charts, you can make the wrong decisions pretty easily because your brain gives you a hunch, and it's very difficult to overcome that. And following on from that, my God, all humans, no matter how logical we think we are pretty emotional. So any experienced trader, it doesn't matter who you are, how good you are, if they're trading long enough, will have a run of losses. And even if you're a good trader, even if you're an experienced trader, when you lose once, okay, you might get a bit grumpy. If you lose twice, wow, that really starts getting under your skin. 3, 4, 5 times? If you lose 5 times in the row, your brain starts playing tricks on you. It starts telling you your strategy's rubbish, it's not working. Oh, you're not doing something right. All these things will start kicking off in your brain, and then what will happen, particularly at beginners, they'll hop to a new strategy or they'll bring some more indicators in, and before you know it, it's all a mess again. And you're making non-consistent, non-repeatable decisions, and that, unfortunately, is guaranteed failure. So being human can actually be in trading a pain in the butt. But there is a solution, and that solution is to build a strategy. So that's really the function of a strategy, is to protect us from ourselves. But this channel isn't about wallowing in negativity. So what we're going to do now is we're going to flip the coin, and we're going to give some foundational pointers to avoid those pitfalls so that we can really condense that time frame, speed up your training so that you've got a shot as soon as possible at being a competent trader. So here we go. So I think the first one is pretty obvious. That is spend time on the charts. You can see I've got three screens on my setup, which I've gone through before. Do you need 3 screens? Absolutely not. You only need 1 screen. But it is important to get used to this software. I use TradingView, and in one of my past videos, I've gone through that software to give you some pointers. But nothing beats, I can't emphasize this more, of just being in front of the charts and looking at the charts every day. You can start over time to see the structure of those charts. Just get used to looking for these smooth oscillations over time on the 4-hour chart. And if you keep doing that, building up your hours, pretty soon you'll be spotting opportunities as they come. The second thing I've noticed about a certain subset of traders that tend to become profitable is that after they've been doing this for a while, it gets under your skin. And for a few of you, it would be like a new hobby, I think. And if that is you, then I think that greatly increases your chances of succeeding in this game because you love it. It would be like someone who loves board games or playing sport. You know, it's more than just sitting down and being functional. It's actually you get it. And for me personally, I love the routine of setting up my station, and I love looking at the charts. I think there's a beauty in those charts, watching that swing up and down and looking for the opportunities. So for a minority of you, it will get under your skin, and for those of you that it does, it really increases the likelihood of being a profitable trader. And another one that I think is quite important is if you're the kind of person who are getting into trading to make a big buck quick, I don't think this game is for you. Trading is a tricky, difficult game. So I think the best way to look at it, from my experience, just my opinion, is to treat it as a marathon long run. Have it in your mind that this is going to take months and years to perfect and get better and better. Like it would be if you went to train as a doctor, a bricklayer, a plumber, a footballer, or whatever. It takes time, and that time translates to experience, and that experience translates to profitability. So treat it as a marathon. Yeah, and the next one's quite interesting, and that is personality types. I mentioned earlier that trading is an emotional game, and being human makes it very difficult. But we've all got different personalities. For example, my personality is I like to think things through a bit. So I don't work on the lower time frames. I tried, and I failed. Some people are very good at it. So for example, day traders will have work on very small time frames, down to seconds sometimes, minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes. And that requires you to absorb a lot of information sometimes quite quickly. That style didn't suit me. Because I didn't like being at my computer all the time as well. So I'm a swing trader. I operate on the 4-hour time frame, and I look for these slow swings, oscillations, up and down, and that suits my personality. So I get time to think, apply my strategy, and I don't have to be at the computer all the time. So what will happen at the beginning of your journey is you'll try different strategies, and from there then you can make a decision about what matches your personality type, and once you are comfortable with that, you can pursue it and perfect it. There definitely isn't a one size fits all in trading. And this next one's really obvious, but so many people don't do it, and it's just keep some very basic records. So what many people recommend, what I do myself, is for every trade, just on a simple spreadsheet or record it in a journal book, you'll put your position size, your trades, how many days you held it, how much you put there, whether it was a win and a loss. And on top of that, I'll take a screenshot. And then I'll review it at the end of the week. But only by keeping those records will you gather the information over time, whether you're making a profit or a loss, and what you can improve. So again, there are many videos by different traders online about this, but keep basic records, really important. So there's quite a few points here, but we're nearly there. And I think this is an important one coming up, and that is when you start, please, 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 paper trade first. So when you've got used to having your charts up there, TradingView I use, not sponsored by them, but that's the platform that I use at the moment. There is a free paper trading account, so you can play with fake money, and do this, I would recommend, for months, weeks definitely, until you develop your strategy and you start becoming profitable. And once you do that in a paper trading account, then you can start using small amounts of real money. So that is so important. So many people skip that step, and because they think they're ready and they're not ready. So the key here is to make sure that you make those profits consistently before you hop over to using small amounts of real money. That will save you a lot of pain. And I think the last point that really helped, and really helped me, was keeping a routine. So I have a routine. Every day I come in, I look at the stocks, I select my stocks, I check my screen, I set up my alerts so that everything's in place for me to take a trade or get out of a trade. So just keep a routine, whatever type of strategy you have. So it almost becomes like clockwork. And the holy grail, you've probably heard this, is that after a while it becomes boring, but not in a negative way. You look forward to doing it, but it just becomes routine. And the more boring it becomes in a positive way, the less likely you are to make these rash decisions that can really ruin your trading day. So there you are. They are some of the pitfalls of trading and some of the ways you can get around them to become profitable. So it is a journey, and if you can treat it like a marathon and treat it like training, like a skill that you'll need over time, then I think you're actually halfway there. It's that consistency and that tenacity and not rushing that will get you there and put you in a really good stead. For those of you that are interested, I think the next video I'll show you some of the trades that I'm taking and that I've got live and going, so I can walk you through that process and how I chose them and what I'm looking for in those trades. So once again, thanks for watching. I really appreciate that you take the time to look at these videos, and I hope they really help you on your trading journey. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's a great motivation to carry on doing these videos, which I hope are helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.